Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome back, everybody. I'm very happy, gratified to see that people are becoming more and more spiritual, opening up their mind and their eyes to what's around them and how what is around you can better support you. Side note, when I use the word spiritual, gotta say, not talking about religion. If you want to connect it to that, you certainly can, but that's really not what we're talking about here today. And she's somebody that coaches people through a spiritual journey by way of many different modalities: Reiki, sound healing, sound baths, birth chart reading, just lots of insight. So we're going to dig into the shift. If you've been feeling differently lately, have a different perspective on things, maybe you view your relationships a little bit differently, you view work, life a little bit differently, you're not really sure. And then you say, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Well, it's not. There's something going on here. And we're going to dig into it. Jamie Serrato is back with us. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's great to be back with you.
Same. Good to have you back. And this shift thing. It's been an ongoing thing, but I'm hearing, and I want your thoughts on this, that it's really come to the forefront in the last year or so, and I don't know why that is. How do you describe the shift?
I mean, as far as the last year or so, it intensifying. We have had Pluto entered Aquarius, and Aquarius is about humanity and us coming together as a collective consciousness and transforming that consciousness. So I think that may be intensifying things. Humanity is going through an evolutionary process, much in the same way that animals do. And I think that all of us who have incarnated at this time, we really wanted to be here for this shift and to be part of it and help bring humanity to a more peaceful place.
The Aquarius thing, now, I'm trying to understand it myself and put it all together, but I heard it's decades in the making, even to get to this part. It's not like just planets changed and now we got different stuff going on. This has been an ongoing thing, but I've been noticing the planets have been aligning like they've never aligned before. Is that all part of the big picture?
Yeah, so Pluto, in astrology, we refer to it as a planet, even though they declassified it. But the farthest away planet moves the slowest. So a Pluto transit for one sign can be 30 years or more. And the farther away the planet is, the longer its transit is, and the bigger its effect. And it affects people in groups, like in large quantities of people, as opposed to a personal planet like Mars. You'll feel it on an individual level.
So would you call this, for many, the beginning of a spiritual awakening?
Yes, I think even though a lot of people are still, atheists, or they are resistant maybe to expanding their awareness, I think eventually all people are going to have an understanding that we are spirits in bodies, we are consciousness, and we are multidimensional, meaning that we have life force energy that exists outside of what we can see with our five senses.
What should we be doing?
Well, meditating, self-care, self-love. So a lot of people see, the spiritual journey as maybe something that's boring or something that is a lot of hard work that they don't want to do. But the spiritual journey can be really fun. It can be really fulfilling. It can be really satisfying, because a huge part of it is connecting to your inner child and healing wounds. And the more you heal, the better of a time you're going to have in your day-to-day life. So even if it's just setting aside maybe an hour a day where you journal and you write about how you're feeling, or you set intention maybe to remember your dreams, whatever way you feel drawn to connect inside to your soul will help you move through your spiritual awakening.
Now, what do you say to people who may say, Jamie, Steve, come on. How is that even going to make a difference? Sit there and write stuff in a journal. I do every day, but whatever. How is that going to make a difference? How do you respond to that?
So a lot of times people who don't want to give themselves that self-care and that self-nurturing, they were never given it, right? So maybe they grew up not having a lot of attention and love poured into them, so they never realized how important that is. And I would just say for people who doubt it, try
Hmm.
it and see how it feels and know that you are deserving of that love, that time you spend with yourself and connecting into your soul. You deserve that, even if it's not something you've seen modeled in your relationships or in your family or around you.
I just got clarity based on what you just said. And that is in the highest vibration, the place you want to be is a place coming from love.
Yes, love is the highest frequency.
And the best way to do that is to show yourself love by sharing your thoughts, journaling, self-care, whatever it is that you do or could do for yourself. There it's all at. And I didn't see it. I didn't see it that way until you just said it.
Yes, and the energetic states that you're infusing your body with and your time with are going to multiply, right? Wherever we sow seeds, those seeds are going to fall onto the ground and then it's going to rain and they're going to grow. So if you're planting good seeds every day and planting, self-love, self-care, compassion for yourself and for others, that's going to multiply in your life and it's going to improve the quality of your life.
Hmm. Are you saying that? Just go with me on this here. Are you saying that if somebody practices self-care, self-love, again, it's relative, whatever, however you feel it works for you. So let's say this weekend, I'm intentional about it. I'm going to go for a walk with my dog. I'm going to take some time to meditate. I'm going to go get a massage. Been a while. I want to just treat myself. Maybe I'm going to take myself out and just have, lunch by myself. It's a me date.
Yes.
Just doing stuff like that that loving feeling that where you're taking care of yourself, that can perpetuate the feeling of love and positivity moving forward.
Yes, just doing that. Even if you're not into spirituality, you don't want to meet your spirit guide, you don't want to know your birth chart, just doing those self-care actions without even having to connect it to a higher power is going to raise your vibration and improve your relationships and your mood.
Interesting. And many of us don't do this kind of stuff because we almost feel guilty. We feel guilty about doing things for ourselves.
Yes, and if it wasn't modeled to you, like if you grew up in a home where your parents were always under stress, they were always arguing or worrying about paying the bills or in survival mode, it's about coming out of survival mode and thriving, right? Instead of being in survival mode. So it may feel unfamiliar, you may feel undeserving of it at first. But ultimately, when you care for yourself, you can better care for the people around you that you're responsible for because you're not pouring from an empty cup.
Point taken. Yeah. These like epiphanies here. We don't think of how important it is to take care of ourselves and what it can do to support us on the back end. Wow.
Yeah, it's really important to make yourself your number one priority, even as a mother. I'm a mother, I have children, I have laundry that needs to be done, I have to cook, but I make sure to spend time every day giving myself what I need so that I'm better able to be in a higher vibrational state, in a better mood, happier, and then I can give from that overflow. And I don't feel a sense of guilt when I give to myself. Maybe in the very beginning I did. I felt
Yeah.
like a little bit of shame almost that I hadn't been giving to myself. There
Mm.
were ways I wasn't taking care of myself for a long time that I had to become aware of the ways I wasn't taking care of myself and learn how to heal those wounds.
I know what you're saying because it was only 5 years ago. I would go to the gym, get on the treadmill. Finally, it's like, I'm going to take some time, join the gym, I'm going to do something for me. I would be on there for, I'm not exaggerating, I still remember the time, 12 minutes. And I would feel guilty. I would get off of it. I would leave and I would go to work because I'm thinking, I got to keep working, got to keep working. God, what if something happens? Got to stay ahead. Everything was fine. In my mind, I felt guilty. And then I started feeling resentful that I didn't take that time. Now, flip it around the other way. Now I feel like I'm cheating myself if I don't do something for myself. It could be the littlest thing. It could be, I like salsa water. So I'm running low. I go on to Amazon. I order, a case and have it delivered to the office studio here. It's like, I did something for myself. That felt good. It's the littlest thing.
Yeah, I can remember when I started really doing the self-care and little things, like you said, like I hadn't gone to the eye doctor. Like I was wearing the same contact lenses and I wasn't cleaning them well and I was getting eye infections and I needed to go to the eye doctor and I ended up switching over to glasses. But just that small shift in my reality, I saw how I hadn't been caring for myself, how I hadn't prioritized my own health and my own needs. And then I saw the rapid shift in my reality when I began caring for myself and how much better I felt.
It's, you don't see it. You don't know it until you know it. And then when you make those changes, you realize, there's a big difference, and I bet you, and I'm sure you're a fabulous mom, but you're even a better mom because you did some stuff for yourself. You took care of yourself. So the shift that's going on here, is this what I hear, the third dimension into the fourth dimension, into the fifth dimension, whereby most of us are in a third, some of us are a little bit into the fourth, some of us are into the fifth. I don't, some people tell me that they are, that it's a complete place of love. Is this what this is all about?
So even once you're in the fifth dimension, you're still going to experience lower vibrational emotions sometimes, but you have become kind of an expert at transmuting them and using them as fuel for your creations. So most people are right now still living a 3D life in the third dimension. I'd say maybe 70, 80% of people. And then when you begin to get curious about what else is out there, what's going on, and you begin to care for yourself, there is kind of like a pathway between 3D and 5D that most people call the fourth dimension. And this is kind of an astral area. So it can be weird stuff happening. You can have a lot of supernatural experiences. You can meet a lot of soulmates. And this is where you really begin doing the work with your shadow and clearing any blockages that keep you from jumping up to that fifth dimension.
What have you heard the fifth dimension described as feeling like?
It's fun. The fifth dimension is very fun. It's very free, and it really, it's like you almost feel like you're going backwards because you feel younger and younger, and you begin to live in a state of play, as opposed to always working and always worrying about responsibilities and obligations. It feels like a playground, and you begin to remember that you incarnated on Earth to have fun because you wanted to learn also, but also because you wanted to explore and you wanted to play. And fifth dimension really puts you in that space of knowing you are a spirit in a body and you're here to have a good time.
When you say it's more fun, could you be doing the same life? I'm working, I'm doing my thing, but I see it in a different way. In other words, it's not like you just left all your responsibilities and I'm just having fun, having a great time. You're doing everything you normally do, but you see it through the eyes of curiosity, discovery. It's just fun, just different.
Absolutely. If you're working a job that you love and you like going to that job and it feels like fun and it feels like play, that job can still be there in the fifth dimension. It's definitely more about how you look at it and is that job or that responsibility adding to your life? Like, do you like having that responsibility? As opposed to, just saying I'm never going to do anything difficult again and forget all my responsibilities.
Can I share something? I don't know if stop me if I mentioned this before, and this is last week. I had a more chill weekend. I intentionally was like, yeah, it was kind of rainy. I'm like, I'm going to take it a little easier than I normally do. I'm usually packing in a lot of stuff, just doing fun stuff, actually. I'm like, I'm going to take it, I'm just easier, less commitments. Monday morning comes. I'm driving here, stop at a light, and I was just in a different frame of mind, more relaxed. I look at my steering wheel, and I'm staring at it, and I'm thinking to myself, I never really took the time to look at detail. I'm looking at the emblem and how it's made. And at that very moment, I felt like I was transported back to my childhood. It was freaky weird. For just a couple of seconds, that feeling of, wow, never saw that. How cool, different. And I felt like I was a kid, or I felt like I was in my 20s where I had lots of extra time. I was working, even full time, but I had more time to just play and do fun hobbies and things like that. I felt like I was back there for 4 seconds. It was the weirdest feeling, but it was the coolest feeling. I don't even think I'm crazy, but is that?
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, I think that's two things. I think one is you're learning how to be very much in the present moment.
Yes.
And if you think of a small child, children live in the present moment. They're not worried about what they have to do tomorrow. They don't remember what happened yesterday,
Yep.
right? And I think it's also merging with your inner child and recovering that aspect of yourself, because we leave selves behind sometimes in other timelines, right? If we go through trauma as a teenager, we may feel very disconnected from our inner child. And then as we heal, we recollect those selves and we kind of bring them back home in our heart where they're all unified.
I love it. This whole shift, it sounds scary, but it's actually kind of cool. And I want to ask you at this time, astrologically, universally, is there anything that we should be aware of that is coming our way? I know that we have a Mercury retrograde coming up. I said before, the planets were aligned in a kind of interesting way a few weeks ago. What's floating out there that we might want to be aware of?
Well, Mars has gone direct. It's been retrograde since like November, December. And as it goes direct, you're going to start to see more progress in the areas of your life that you've been doing a lot of internal work on. Okay. We are going to have Neptune is going to go into Aries on March 31st. And this is a big deal because Neptune is one of those faraway planets that only changes signs like every 20 or 30 years. So I think we're going to definitely feel a lot of shifts, maybe ascension symptoms and things like that as Neptune enters Aries, because Neptune rules over the spirit. And it's been in Pisces where it's kind of calm, it's kind of out of the way, it's kind of quiet. And Aries is not quiet. Aries is a very loud, powerful, pioneering sign. So I think it's actually going to really help more people want to get involved and become more passionate about spirituality as Neptune transits through Aries.
Yes, Aries is, if anybody knows an Aries, you just described them. And this, what you said is universal. It's not sign specific, but you're referring to the signs and some of the traits of the signs.
Yes.
What sign are you?
I'm a Libra.
Okay. Gotcha. And I'm a Virgo.
Okay.
So just
I always get along with Virgos.
Yeah. I've worked with some people who are Libras. Different mindset, but it works. It kind of gels together well.
And then, because I had the walk-in, I have two charts. So I'm also an Aquarius. And I kind of identify with that sign a little bit more.
Aquarians are very much, in some regards, like Virgos, where they work hard and they're about principle. Like you don't break any rules. This is the way it's supposed to be. That's just my view. Knowing people who are Aquarius.
Yeah, they're both very intellectual and analytical signs.
I thought you were going to say Aquarians are, and I was going to say just like Virgos, and then you said,
Yeah.
Any other insight? Even on the astrological sign, I know that's a piece of what you do. I know that you do birth chart readings. Anything else that we should be mindful coming up soon?
Venus is going retrograde on March 2nd, and it will be retrograde until April 13th. So that's about 6 weeks. So we just finished Mars retrograde, and now we're going through Venus retrograde. So Venus retrograde is about looking at our ideals, looking at our values, and looking at balance in relationships. So this can be a time when we're kind of reviewing our relationships and also our money and our sense of self-worth and making changes where needed.
Now, the Mercury retrograde that's coming up the middle of March, and for anybody that doesn't know, long story short, Mercury retrograde happens 3, sometimes 4 times a year, about a 3-week period. There is a pre-phase and the post-phase, and it's a time where communication should be looked at very carefully. You shouldn't make any major decisions, buy a car, if you can't start a job. Personally, if you have surgery coming up, like if it's elective, change the date. You just want to make the best outcome, if you will. Technology can get wonky. Back up your hard drives. Is there anything with this Mercury retrograde that stands out for you? Does it look like, wow, this one's going to be a big one? Or is it just, yeah, we're good? Yeah, get some insight on that.
Yeah. I don't look at Mercury retrogrades too closely because they happen so often that to me it's like a full moon. It's very frequent. Generally during Mercury retrograde, this is a good time to like go back and fine tune things. Like if you're working on a creative project and you're not quite sure, how to do something during Mercury retrograde, communication kind of slows down. So you have time to kind of sit in that energy and rethink things and review things. But I don't see it as being like a particularly tricky Mercury retrograde or anything.
I feel better now. Yeah, I always used to look at it as negative, but I look at it more as a wake up, an awareness. And I've been in situations where, like, I could have been in a court situation, and you're like, oh, I wonder how that's going to go. That's in the middle of Mercury retrograde. I believe if you do the right thing, it swings in your favor, no matter what the situation is, even in a retrograde.
That's absolutely true. And that's part of alchemy, right? So no matter what the planets are doing, I can still use those transits to my advantage. And for me, I like the assurance like, oh, this isn't working, but it's okay because right now Mercury is retrograde. So I know it's not me, it's the planets. And like I just find it helpful so that I'm not getting hard on myself if something is delayed or not moving forward the way I like. I remind myself, well, this is going on and it's not affecting just me, it's affecting everybody. So I don't get like hard on myself because something's not working.
Yeah. And just a check and double check are your best friends during Mercury retrograde. Before you send a text or an email, double check it. Maybe wait. Do you really want to send it? You should do that anyway, but even more so because the communication, it might get taken a different way and you might regret it. But aside from that, it's, but the technology thing, for me, that stands out. The last retrograde we had, end of last year, fall, the first day of the retrograde, Microsoft 365, Outlook, their whole platform, for email, everything, worldwide crash. Now, those who are skeptical, because it's a coincidence. All right, so why did it happen on the first day of the retrograde? And why, if you go back to the next one and the one before that and the one before that, they were like pretty impactful. Airlines, remember, this in the last year, during a retrograde, airline systems went wonky. There was no flights getting out. It was worldwide. Why was it during a retrograde? Coincidence or not? I guess that's up to, interpretation. Just be aware. Thank you so much for your awareness today on all of this. And sometimes I forget that you roll a little bit deeper in the astrological sign. That's super cool. Best way to find you, Jamie, how do we do that?
www.calmerwaterscoaching.com, or you can email jamie@calmerwaterscoaching.com.
Yeah, there's so much there to realize in terms of spirituality. And again, I'm thankful maybe with this, the shift that's here, more people will pick up on the fact that there's more out there and you can feel supported and better and more love just by being aware of it and maybe doing a little bit of work. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We'll be right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn those earrings today. I like those earrings. Gabby has those awesome earrings. I need to ask her where she got those, but that's just what she would want me to do. I'll have Michaela ask her for me.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Yeah, but then Michaela will be like, why don't you just ask her yourself? That's just like Michaela.
Sarah, buckle up.
Michaela's such a great name. I wish I was called Michaela. There's like a dozen Sarahs in my class.
Hey, we're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh yeah, seatbelt. I forget sometimes because my brain is like busy, you know? I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
Sometimes it can be tough to get through to your kids, but it's not impossible. Always make sure they're wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Remember, you have the keys, you have the power. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.